Am I the asshole for telling my friend to never come back to my house after he called my mom a Karen? My friends came over to my 14F house for a movie. My mom had cancer and lost her hair, and she's been wearing a pixie-cut wig until it grows back. My mom came downstairs to bring us popcorn, and when she went back upstairs, my friend, 14M, laughed at my mom's Karen haircut. He said it makes her look old and like a Karen mom. I got very mad and said my mom had cancer. She's in remission and her hair is growing back still. Then he laughed and said, too bad. The only good Karen is a dead Karen. And I called him a piece of shit and told him to leave forever. My mom found out because I was crying, and then I had to explain what a Karen is and how it's a slur for middle-aged women. None of my friends are on my side. They said I'm overdramatic and a loser. Not the asshole. If you had kicked him out solely on the joke about the haircut, I'd say you were overreacting. But when he followed it up with a joke, basically saying he wished your mom had died, he took things way too far. NTA. You're definitely in the right here. It was a shitty joke to make and he continued after you told him to stop. He's totally here. Not the asshole. Your friend seriously overstepped and made a comment that was truly tasteless and, when called out on it, doubled down and made an even worse one. No friend would ever say something like that about a friend's mother, much less one who was recovering from cancer. You deserve better friends. Not the asshole. What the F, he made a joke about it being too bad your mum didn't die? How is that okay? Your friends are shitty. Not the asshole. You need new friends. The actual ones are insensitive jerks. Not the asshole. You aren't a loser for defending your mom. Your friend is the asshole for making a stupid edgelord comment like that, instead of realizing that he should keep his mouth shut. After your explanation, he should have apologized. Your friends are not worth your time if they think it's okay to say your mom should be dead. Not the asshole. Your friend is so sexist it is not funny. No teen girl or woman should tolerate a boy who makes jokes about violence against women. Not the asshole. But Karen is not a slur, and to say so is incredibly insensitive to people that have been affected by actual slurs. Am I the asshole for calling my stepdad pathetic and my mother spineless during Thanksgiving dinner? I'm 19F and using a throwaway because my siblings use Reddit. I know it sounds bad, but here's the gist. I've got two siblings, 15F, 17M. And while I lived in mom and stepdad's household, currently at university, I was tasked with most chores, washing dishes, doing laundry, cleaning, running errands, you name it, while my siblings had none. Their reasoning? You're older. I protested this many times, telling them my siblings were old enough to also share the chores. But stepdad always shouted me down and called me ungrateful after he put a roof over my head and fed me. That's been a line he's thrown at me endlessly. My siblings have been given anything they want, allowance, gifts, electronics. But if I asked for something, I was told I didn't need it. That's why I started babysitting at 12 so I could buy my own goods. I've worked since. They stopped buying me basic goods, like sanitary products, as soon as I started working. I'm at university on a full scholarship because I knew early on I'd be on my own on this front. I worked my ass off to get into my top choice. I love it there. I feel free and in control of my life. The issue came during dinner. Mom, stepdad, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins were there. I was talking to an aunt who'd congratulated me on getting into my university and stepdad says loudly, "Trash Afgiving thinks her fancy college makes her better than everyone else as usual." I can't explain what was different this time, but I snapped. I told him he was pathetic for picking on me all my life when all I'd done was try to be a good kid. And I told my mom she was spineless for letting him treat me this way. And I left. Which felt like the right thing to do at the time. I slept at a friend's and got a train back university the next day. My mother has since called me distraught, like full-on sobbing, saying I was being overdramatic and that I humiliated them. She says that I'm ungrateful because, look at how well you're doing. That's because of us, and I just don't know. I feel bad she's this hurt. People have it worse. I am doing well. I have a family to come home to. I just don't know. Am I being dramatic? Am I the awe? Update. 1. I can't tell you how validating these comments have been. I never talk about my family IRL because deep down I think I feel ashamed of how my family treats me. So this has been helpful, really. I don't have it in me yet to tell them what I need to tell them outright, but I do have it in me to go no contact. They don't fund any part of my life, so the only thing they can hold over me is themselves. I'm writing an email now to let them know not to contact me and that I won't be contacting them until I'm ready to communicate. 2. Brother texted, "Mom want stop crying hope happy." Sister texted, "This sucks, so there's that. I love my younger siblings, but I'm going no contact with them as well before I figure out what I want. Thanks for the support. You're not doing well because of them. You're doing well in spite of them. There's a massive difference and they need to learn it. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, and in case you took your mother's words to heart, I need you to know that you are where you are in spite of them, not because of them. You raised yourself. You worked your butt off to get away from them. You are the only one who deserves credit for how wonderfully you are doing. Not the asshole, and you did the right thing by standing up for yourself. Are your siblings full siblings or half siblings? Not the asshole. You need to establish these boundaries with them as an adult. Holy shit. Not the asshole. I don't know you, but I'm so proud of you for standing up for yourself. I sense your stepdad is weirdly jealous of you in a way. And shame on your mom for letting him talk to you that way. You clearly worked your ass off. I wonder why he favors the other siblings. Not the asshole. And you were spot on with your comments. My guess is your siblings are SD kids and thus the difference in treatment from SD. He views putting a roof as a favor to you instead of his job when he married your mom. You don't owe him anything. Your best revenge is to carry on your path and be successful on your own. As to your mom, don't back down. They owe you an apology for how you were treated. She was complicit in their parentification of you. Not the asshole. Pathetic and spineless are pretty mild if things are as you describe them. Not buying your 12-year-old child menstrual hygiene supplies? The words that come to mind are child neglect and abuse. Get out, and don't look back. You got you into that university on a full scholarship. Not them. Not the asshole. In fact, keep it coming. Sounds like they abused you and now they're trying to ruin your happiness even after you worked your ass off to get to a better place. They deserve to be humiliated and feel like shit. Am I the asshole for cursing someone out who accused me of faking an Irish accent? I'm from Newfoundland, Canada. In Newfoundland we have an accent which is kind of similar to an Irish accent, but not quite the same. A lot of Scottish and Irish people immigrated here and we've been isolated from the rest of Canada, which is why we have a different accent. I am currently studying in California. I work at a Outback Steakhouse. All the time I get asked if I'm from Ireland. I was waiting a group of college-aged people when I asked if I could take their order. OEN of them said, "Are you from Ireland?" I responded and said I'm from Newfoundland, Canada. She then told me I should stop faking my accent as it's quite rude and offensive of me to culturally appropriate another culture and mock them. I tried to explain that I'm not speaking with an Irish accent and she wouldn't let me finish or just dismissed me as lying. After her interrupting me 4 times trying to explain to me about cultural appropriation and shit, I got sick of it and said, "USNEWFOUNLANDERS speak like this, I am not faking a fucking accent, now can I take your order?" She said, "You know I'm not going to take this disrespect, we're leaving," and she left. Her friends didn't follow her. Eventually one more did leave, but the other 2 were still there. It was fucking hilarious. My boss however is pissed at me as she did call and made a complaint about me. He said if I do that again I'm getting fired. Yelling at a preachy woke California girl, self-defense. Not the asshole. Also, being willing to work in customer service nowadays means you're less likely to get fired than you would have pre-COVID, so I think you're safe. Not the asshole. She was the one disrespecting your culture. As an immigrant, I've developed an accent over the years and not once someone came up to me and told me I'm appropriating their culture. The nerve of her to say she's not going to take any disrespect when she's the one disrespecting your culture would be hilarious if it didn't put your job in jeopardy. Next time ask them if they know Newfoundland, and when they say no, you say, "Well, this is how we speak there." I used to think esh. But after joining Antiwork I am saying not the asshole. You get enough crap at work I assume. You don't need to deal with sanctimonious bigotry. Not the asshole, she has no right to police your accent. Your boss is just pissed that you yelled at a customer. I get that you just reached your breaking point, so I'm not going to hold it against you. Also, that sounds like a cool accent. Edited for compliment. Not the asshole, she was insufferable. And if your boss doesn't back you up, find a better boss and tell them that's why you're leaving. Not the asshole. This was not cultural appropriation, the woman was an idiot. However, I can't fault your boss for giving you a warning. Swearing at a customer is somewhat frowned upon. I agree she had it coming, but I'm not sure it was worth risking your job over. There were better ways of putting her back in her box. Not the asshole. As a fellow Newfoundlander living off the island, I understand your frustrations. Not the asshole because she was the one making assumptions and being ignorant about your culture. But if it happens again, you could try to stay calm and say, Google a Newfoundland accent. I'll be over here when you're ready to apologize. Am I the asshole for saying that my kids can never be around Mil's husband after what he did at Thanksgiving? We spent Thanksgiving with Mil and SFIL. I always tell my kids they don't ever have to give hugs or kisses if they don't want to. My daughter, 5, seems to feel bad for Mil and hug her. My son, 7, chooses not to, and that is his choice. Mil is pretty much the only person he doesn't hug. Mil isn't a terrible person, but I've always gotten the feeling that she doesn't really like any of us, but goes through the motions out of guilt, obligation. There are some cultural differences, and I know she feels she has a responsibility as a mother even though my husband is an adult. She helped us buy a house and paid for our wedding, but never comes around. She is also extremely awkward around children. Anyway, we went because my kids love seeing all of their step-cousins, and it is always a good time. When we got there, my son wouldn't hug Mil but hugged everyone else. Note, I don't think she even wants a hug. I think this embarrasses her. Her husband tried to guilt-trip my son, and I shut that down because I don't tolerate emotional manipulation. Mil at some point needed a shallot and sent her husband to the store. He brought one of his grandkids with him. Mil's husband has about 7 grandkids and is like catnip to children. He came back with candy for all of the kids, including my daughter, but none for my son. When I gave him a what the fuck look, he said, "But I thought I didn't owe anyone anything, and I'm not responsible for other people's feelings," which is language I've used to explain why I don't force my kids to give hugs. My son was clearly very upset, because he was being excluded but also because he likes Mil's husband a lot. Mil's husband said he doesn't like how my son treats his wife, and he knows it sucks but kids have to learn hard lessons sometimes. I took my daughter's candy away, gave it back to him, and we left. I said that man will never see my son again. If Mil wants to visit our house she can, not that she ever has, literally ever, but they will never see him again. This sucks because they have gotten close to his grandchildren, and all 3 of his children told me that if I do this, they are done with me, when I asked about scheduling play dates. My husband doesn't like what he did, but thinks I'm overreacting and he is from a different generation and a different culture, and we should try to talk it out, but I feel like for a grown man to do that to a kid is straight up evil. I get the feeling that you don't actually want your kids to hug Mil and I'm guessing they can pick up on that too. Torn between everyone sucks here and you are the asshole. I think SFIL most likely knows how you feel about Mil and is proving a point. He was still rude, but regardless I think you're overreacting. Also at 7 you're teaching your son that if he doesn't get something he wants, a piece of candy, he should just cut that family member out of his life? That was an move of him, but that man will never see my son again. Come on, calm down, you completely overreacted. You are the asshole. If your husband wants to work it out you don't get the only say. You can't expect to cut someone out without the rest of the family taking sides. What he did was kinda shitty, but honestly I suspect the son is excluding Mil because of how you feel about her. You even say your daughter only hugs her because she feels sorry for her. What? She's 5. Maybe she likes her. You could have told your daughter to share the candy, but no, you punished her with no candy because you were mad. You're emotionally manipulative. And #X200B. If this woman and her husband are so bad, don't like in the house she paid for and refund the wedding. Don't use her for financial gain, then trash her being terrible. Take the stand that would cost you money, not your daughter candy. You set boundaries so he did the same thing and now you mad. How you gonna say the woman don't like y'all but helped with house and wedding? I got the feeling you are more of the problem than them. NTA for allowing your children full control of their bodily autonomy. SFIL is a huge asshole for deliberately leaving out your son. I do think there is more going on here, and I think that the children are getting caught up in a power play between adults, so my overall ruling is Why is your son okay with hugging everyone except his grandma? Did she do something that made him uncomfortable? Or is he doing what he thinks you want him to do? You and your husband need to have a conversation with your son. Then your husband needs to have a conversation with his mother. Y'all need to learn to use your damn words. You are the asshole. When you go to any sort of function you introduce yourself and greet everyone with the same level of respect. Adults have feelings too, and for your son to constantly avoid her and you don't see anything wrong with it is messed up. You are tripping if you think the SFIL is just going to sit there and allow his wife to be disrespected in her own house. This is all on you. Instead of teaching your children to respect their elders, you're teaching them that it's okay to have an attitude and be standoffish because they feel like it. And as others have said, it's really weird that he will hug everyone but the mill, which seems like you have a problem with her. He was obviously in the wrong, but to decide to go full no contact with the dude over this once incident is unreasonable. You are ultimately punishing your children by removing their relationships with the other kids. Info. What does your spouse say about this? I think it's a cultural difference. If she didn't like you, I doubt very much that she would have purchased your home or paid for your wedding. You're teaching your kids they don't have to touch anyone they don't want to, but that if someone in turn treats them the same, life isn't fair. You're ready to throw the family away. Also, why did you choose to punish your daughter? You could have stopped and got your son some candy.